Congressman, thanks so much for taking time and talking with us.
Bob, it's great to be back with you.
Boy, things are sure changing for sure. We are seeing some good news as we talked about that tax rebate checks are going to be mailed out this month. Give us an update on that.
Every family will get a tax rebate check, adults $1,200, kids who live at home who are on the tax return, $500 if they're under 17 years old, I think. And if you only have Social Security earnings, you'll still get a check, $1,200. So this is going to help people take care of some out-of-pocket expenses from either being off work or having to deal with child care or other issues connected to the impact of the coronavirus. Treasury Department says those will be out here over the next 2 weeks. If you get your tax refund direct deposited in your banking account, so direct deposit, and that's how you'll get this tax rebate. If you get a check, you'll probably get a check form. If anybody has any challenges about that, I hope they'll reach out to my offices at hill.house.gov and we'll help you sort through that process.
So the big thing for seniors, do not give your information out because the check is in the mail or it'll be direct deposit. They don't have to do anything. Correct, those on Social Security.
Right. Don't, if you get a telephone solicitation about your check saying, oh, we're going to help you get your check, please give us your address and your Social Security number. Or if somebody emails you and asks that, that's probably a phishing scam. And I think our citizens ought to call the Attorney General's office, Leslie Rutledge's office, if they are a victim of that kind of telephone solicitation or even an email solicitation. The IRS does not email you or telephone you.
And let's also talk about the hospitals. The CARES Acts are going to be helping the hospitals as well.
Yeah, the hospitals are in a tough position right now. I know a lot of citizens don't understand it. They think, gosh, the hospitals are busy, busy, busy. But, we've asked them to not do elective surgeries. And so their volumes are down, and they're actually considering laying people off until they're impacted by the coronavirus. So hospitals are having a tough time right now. We appropriated over $100 billion that can be used to help hospitals. And Governor Hutchinson here is helping hospitals with state funds by supporting nurses, staying on staff, buying protective equipment. So the federal government and the state government are working together to help hospitals get through this tough patch.
And then what does a business need to do? I know that's something that we've talked about last week. The businesses have got basically a lifeline with the banks giving some loans.
Well, since we talked last week, the Paycheck Protection Program is up and running through the banks. So if you're a small business and you have employees and you'd like to get 8 weeks of financing for your rent, your utilities, your payroll, you can do that through a local community bank. Those loans are 100% guaranteed by the SBA. And if you use it to pay payroll, 75% of the money, if it's used to cover paychecks, then the loan can actually be converted into a grant and be forgiven. When I last looked a little earlier this week, over $30 billion of those loans have been made in the United States to about 175,000 different borrowers. So people are out using that product to try to save their employees' jobs and cover their expenses as we wait for this virus to pass.
Well, that is some really good news for a lot of businesses because some are shut down voluntarily, and then there's some that are shut down because they're not essential. We're seeing a lot of the building supplies go up, and spring is here for sure. And we're seeing a lot of shrubs as well go outside of those areas, which is good for people. Arkansans need to get out. And did you get to do your walk that you talked about?
I did. I got out to Flatside Wilderness area out in Perry County and took a long walk on Sunday morning, Palm Sunday. And it was beautiful seeing the spring iris coming up and a little bit left of the dogwood blossoms, and then got back and I got to attend church services online. It was a beautiful Palm Sunday.
It was, for sure. All right, let's talk about the Golden Fleece Award. This is hard to believe that we would still talk about the Golden Fleece even at this day and time.
Ah, yes.
This is amazing.
The Golden Fleece, I'm presenting in March, end of March, to the Kennedy Center. Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, put $25 million in the CARES Act, which is supposed to help kill the virus and get our economy back working. She put $25 million in there for the John F. Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., a performing arts center there. Supposedly, at least senators thought, to keep it open. Well, 2 days after that bill was signed into law by President Trump, the Kennedy Center laid off the entire National Symphony Orchestra and said they wouldn't reopen. So I think senators and members of the House felt misled by the Kennedy Center and by Nancy Pelosi's advocacy for that. So I think they should have stayed open and used that money to perform concerts online to help Americans get through this tough time. Think how beautiful it would be to have a special streaming from the Kennedy Center live of the National Symphony Orchestra. That would have been great, but that's not what they did. They laid everybody off. So I was very disappointed in the Kennedy Center, and they are the March Golden Fleece awardee.
That one tops the cake, $25 million, but you still let your people go. Well, let's talk also about what would you like to say to our listeners here that is at home? What's some of the things that you think that we can be doing to be proactive?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Arkansans for following the governor's very careful direction and having good hygiene and following the CDC guidelines, because I believe it's producing results here in Arkansas. I was so pleased to hear the recent news from our governor that our cases and our curve may be flattening, which means Arkansans are doing a very good job of the social distancing and being careful and being very hygienic, using hand sanitizer, washing hands. So that was encouraging. I think that's good news. I would like to encourage our families, our churches, our businesses to maintain that hygiene high standard. And look, I think there's some success stories out there. I went out to UA Little Rock and watched them make face masks to be used at UAMS and St. Vincent's and Baptist Hospital. I thought that was fantastic. Engineers and students working together to make those face masks. And I've heard from bankers. One banker in a little town in north central Arkansas told me, I made $8 million of paycheck protection loans to 30 different borrowers. And I think I helped save 800 jobs. And it's the kind of positive can-do spirit that Americans always indicate. And I was really heartened by the volunteer spirit that you see in the face of this crisis. And that's typical America. And that's what I love about our country.
It is fantastic. Congressman, we appreciate you taking time and keeping us updated what's going on in Arkansas and in D.C.
Thanks, Bob.